Happy Monday, April 20, 2020. Today's objective is to continue to work on this project explaining how one should responsibly gather, analyze, and share news, and particularly how do we do that from a Christian point of view. Plan for today. First, I will give you kind of an update over the week of some things that have happened. Not everything, just some things. You will have a survey to do as your bell ringer. You then should be continuing to work on your project, and then to end today one, there's an exit slip progress checkpoint question to answer, and there will also be an optional Zoom meeting opportunity for those who would like a little feedback or need some help from me. So the only two things I need done by 3 p.m. today is to first finish that survey, and second, answer that progress checkpoint question on Google Classroom. First, kind of a report of some events that have happened over the past week or so. South Korea, a couple days ago, had their elections, which was unique for two main reasons. One, it was taking place during this pandemic, so the voters had to wear masks and gloves and take extreme precautions to do that. So it's interesting to see what that looks like, considering that we have an election in November. That's not to say that ours will have to be the same as theirs in terms of the precautions, but just to get a glimpse of what that maybe could look like. Second reason it was unique is despite the pandemic, despite everything that's going on with staying at home, and realize South Korea has many fewer cases than the United States does, and overall the spread and the death rate, a lot of countries are giving South Korea props for what they've done. This was the highest voter turnout they've had, I think, in 28 years. It's just interesting to see that they had more people turn out to vote in this unique time. The ruling party received 60 more seats, kind of in their version of Congress, so the ruling party got even stronger from this, mostly because of how good of a job the administration has done with this pandemic so far. That gave them a boost. It'll be interesting to see if a similar thing happens in the United States, if President Trump and his administration are able to do a similarly high quality job, if they will also get a boost from this. We have until November, plenty of time to figure that out. Some COVID-19 updates for you. A local one in Michigan. Last week there was a planned protest, a gridlock in Lansing. Many people went to Lansing with their cars, honking their horns, basically just locking traffic down, protesting the strict executive order that Governor Whitmer has until April 30, demanding that at least some things get loosened and certain things can get opened up. This was controversial because many people believe that the stay-at-home order goes too far. Other people think it's valid or could even go further. So just the idea of having a mass protest when there's supposed to be social distancing, that was controversial, and that didn't just earn kind of the people's attention in Michigan, but all over the country, including President Trump, who tweeted about it, which he tweets about everything, so that's not too crazy. Second thing, when it comes to the curve, right, we're at that point right now where cases are starting to plateau and are slowly working their way down, maybe not as fast as we want, but that's still a good sign. It's going to be a pretty important week to see not just the infection rate, but also the death rate start to go down, especially if we're looking at an May 1 kind of return to opening up a little bit more and having fewer restrictions for that. Speaking of which, President Trump over the past week announced the national federal government's plan and guidelines for what it's going to look like to reopen the economy and get back to whatever normal is going to look like for us once this is over. He first said that each governor has the ability to kind of implement this plan in their own way and at their own time whenever each state is ready, because, for example, Michigan is in a much different situation than a place like Arizona. It's different than Texas, and so on and so forth. States are expected to meet some requirements before they can start phase 1 of this plan. This plan covers 3 different phases. Those expectations are 14 days of declining kind of flu-like symptom cases, as well as 14 days a declining of positive tests based on how much testing you do. It's a percentage. Also, hospitals may not be operating under a crisis situation, and there needs to be sufficient testing moving forward before they can start this plan. Phase 1 of the plan is just opening up a little bit so businesses can get back to work, restaurants can get back to work. However, if you're at risk, you need to stay home. If you're not at risk, you can go out but still maintain the social distancing. They recommend groups of fewer than 10. You can't go to nursing homes. All sorts of details with that. Phase 2 opens up things even more, and then Phase 3 is that final one. So it'll be interesting to see how long this takes. Also, within these 3 phases, it is possible, and President Trump said this in his press conference, that you may need to be flexible and maybe pull back on certain opening up procedures and maybe push forward in other ways, and that each state's going to look different. So there is some federal guidelines, but each state still gets the right to implement it in a way that they think is best. Testing update. I saw a report, and there's so much news, right? We're talking about finding news. It's as important as ever right now to figure out exactly what's going on and to figure out about this virus because there's so much unknown. It's really hard to navigate that digital sea with what's going on right now. Things that I've seen, I saw a report that says that medical experts, health experts believe we need 3 times more testing supplies for that. But I also heard the other side that we have a lot of testing supplies that aren't even being used. We've got drive-through testing, saliva testing, which hopefully will make this procedure quicker, more efficient, get results back sooner. I also saw that there was a report that confirmed the idea that this virus dies off with heat and light. So hopefully what this means is that over the summer, for Michigan specifically, the virus will be way scaled back because it'll be warmer and hopefully sunny. Economically, I kind of went through the guidelines for Michigan. Things are the way they are until at least April 30. May 1 will be reevaluated, but we have this 3-phase idea. It'll be interesting to see how this affects the economy, not just for this year or next year, but 5 years from now. Some other non-COVID-19 related updates. Ramadan, which is the Islamic month that Muslims fast during daylight hours, begins this week. And on Wednesday, it is Earth Day. Just some things coming up within the next week or so. So for this survey, this isn't so much responsible news related. It's more just current events related. Just some questions. We've got this new kind of weekly structure for what school is going to look like the rest of the year when it comes to we're only working Monday through Thursday, and then Friday is the review work, the makeup work. I do believe that some teachers might be assigning a quiz or a test on Friday. I'm not planning on doing that. But I just want to see how things went specifically this past week in terms of the workload. I asked you guys similar questions. Feels like it's been forever, but it was probably only a couple weeks ago. I just kind of wanted an update to see how things have been going more recently. So if you get to answer these questions here, this is just your way to help me help you and to make sure that the amount of work I'm assigning and what work I'm assigning is hopefully manageable and hopefully it's fair and clear enough for you to understand. So please do that survey. Do 3 p.m. today. Just a reminder that this project is due Wednesday, 10 a.m. So you have today, tomorrow, and then really early in the morning on Wednesday to get this done. You've got finding, analyzing, and sharing news. Here's a breakdown of the prompts. You don't have to answer each one. You are creating an infographic. Balance space, graphics, and text in your design. Really put some effort and thought into how you design it in a way that's effective and that helps information flow without being too wordy. At 3 p.m., by 3 p.m., you can do this earlier, but once you're done working on the project, please answer this Google Classroom multiple choice question. Just be honest, that's all I ask you. It's just going to ask you what percentage of your project is complete. I'm going to provide today, starting at 3, lasting until 3:30, an optional Zoom meeting for anybody who has questions about this project or concerns or simply wants my feedback in some way, shape, or form. So 3 to 3:30, I will post all the details for that Zoom meeting and how to join on Google Classroom, and that is your opportunity to ask me questions about the project in a more direct way before it's due. just to give you a heads up, there's a really good chance there won't be a video tomorrow. Tomorrow will just be finish the project, unless something comes up or I think of something last minute that I want to post. So check Google Classroom, see if I do post anything. But if you don't see a video, that's like not me forgetting to post it. It's probably because there's just not one there. All you need to do is work on your project. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Good luck with the work. Reach out with questions if you have them.